What's up folks, Mike here at Welling Watches. Welcome to the video, and today we're going to be taking a look at yet another Casio G-Shock watch, and this is a much more recent release, which is to celebrate 25 years of the G6900 series of watches. And they've done so by releasing 3 full metal bezel versions of the 6900 along with a couple of other resin versions as well. All of the watches look absolutely great in terms of 25th year celebration of the watch, but the watch we're going to be looking at today is the full gold plated version metal bezel that we have here. The model number is the GM6900G-9ER with the 3230 module inside there. We're not going to take a look at the box because the box is actually very bog standard, even for the 25th anniversary series of watches. There's no special tin or case or anything to look at there. So we've already kind of seen what those boxes look like, so we don't need to go over that. So the initial thoughts when taking the watch out of the case or the tin was the weight. Immediately you feel that the weight is completely different to other G-Shocks. If you do own 6900s, which probably a lot of you out there do, I own quite a few 6900s, which I have some of them down here with me. You'll notice the weight is completely different straight out the box, which of course it's going to be because it's a full metal bezel, but it is actually really quite striking how different that is. But we're going to weigh them in a sec to see what the difference is between a standard 6900 and this full metal bezel version. So initial thoughts on the watch, aside from the weight, was the absolute shininess of this particular model of watch. I'm not sure about the other two because I haven't seen the other two in person. I've only seen photos. But when I saw photos over this watch, I thought, oh, that's great. I really must get that. That's absolutely lush. A nice full gold watch. And I'm not really a fan of gold watches, but I saw this and thought, yeah, I've got to get that. And the photos on the G-Shock website do not kind of match what you get in reality. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but what I am saying is this watch is extremely shiny. It's polished absolutely everywhere. There's not a single surface that isn't shining or reflecting on this particular watch. But we'll get back to that in a second. What we're going to do now is we're going to weigh up this metal bezel version with some of the standard versions. So this one here is probably my favorite 6900, which has the solar cell. So this is solar powered 6900, and I have a Smurf here in blue and a Garfield in orange. So these three are all resin versions, and we're going to weigh them up to see what the weight difference is between the watches. So I have my Salter scales here. Wait for them to zero. The solar version I think is actually slightly lighter than a standard 6900, but let's have a look. So 62 grams for the solar version. Smurf resin version is 69 grams. Garfield, which should be about the same, is 67 grams. So we've got 67, 62, 69. So just under 70 grams there for the resin versions. And then the full metal version comes in at 102 grams. So that's easily an extra 32 grams on top of the resin versions. Now 32 grams doesn't actually sound like a lot, but in terms of actually holding the watch in your hand, having it on your wrist, this one, the full metal bezel version, does actually have a much weightier, stronger presence in the hand and on the wrist than say the resin version does here. So in terms of looks of the watch, what you may notice immediately in this video that you may not have seen on photos like I did is that the entire case is obviously made from stainless steel. It's IP plated with gold, and the whole thing has been polished to a mirror finish. So every single surface is shiny and reflective, including the inside faceplate there as well. Just on the inside of the watch, there is a slightly off yellow gold ring with the information on it. This is the yellow that you find on some of the G-Shock squares that come with the gold finish. and that just differentiates the faceplate with this outer ring here. But everything here is entirely reflective. I'm fairly sure we have a mineral glass in there as well. The casing is full stainless steel, gold plated, and that includes the button as well. The button has also been made out of metal. I believe the process to making the bezel for this watch out of metal took something like 40 different steps for Casio to make them. So the price of these watches is probably quite a bit higher than what you'd pay for something like a resin version like this. I think this is about £70 now, these solar versions. So the price difference is quite big, plus it's a 25th anniversary limited edition watch, so they can ask for a higher price. Now the functions of the watch are the same pretty much with any 6900. So you've got your time, you have your stopwatch, you have your timers, alarm, things like that. Most of the basic stuff is there. On this particular model, the display is negative, but that's not a problem at all. It's still very legible, very readable. You do, of course, have the light, which is, you're not going to be able to see that on the video because I've got a bright light above me here. So we have all the basic functions and features. We have the light, we have the full metal bezel. The strap is a fairly standard strap with the quick releases and a gold-plated buckle at the end. The one slightly disappointing thing with the particular model is it still has the stamped case back, which is not a major thing, but I would have liked to have seen a machined case back. It's kind of one of those G-Shock aesthetics that I actually prefer the machined case backs, but it has a stamped case back, which won't affect the functionality of the watch at all. It's what all the original G-Shocks were designed to be, with the stamped case backs. So the band is a fairly standard stuff. I'm hoping that they will release some more of these bands in different colorways. Hopefully maybe a full gold version of the resin strap to match the watch would be a nice idea. So the watch, much like any other G6900, very comfortable to wear. This one has a slight more wrist presence because of the weight, and the functionality is pretty much the same. The negative display is one of those things that you either love or you hate. I'm kind of indifferent towards them. I can still read them day or night, so it's not really a problem. I think it suits the negative display more than it would a normal display, because black and gold kind of go together. So I think that's probably their kind of thoughts along that line. Aesthetically, the polish finish is very nice. But with anything that's highly polished, including any high-end Swiss watches, the polish finish will attract fingerprints. No matter how hard you try to keep this thing clean, it will get covered in fingerprints without a doubt. So we'll see if we can zoom in. Oh, get a slightly closer look. So you can see that the entire finish of the casing is highly polished and extremely shiny. So if you've seen photos that give it the impression that it's actually not shiny, then I can assure you it is extremely highly polished. So a very nice watch, a very nice watch to add to collections. Whether this watch actually suits me, well, my wife would disagree. She absolutely hates it. She much prefers the black version, but then we can't all like the same thing. The buttons on the watch do seem to be slightly larger than the standard, which seems to be something that they're doing with a lot of new G-Shocks now. They're increasing the size of the buttons. So in terms of functionality, like changing the mode, things like that, it's really easy to do because the buttons are that little bit bigger. So the functionality is much improved. Not that I ever had a problem using the buttons on this particular watch, but the extra large, the extra size does certainly help. So if you're on the fence about this particular model, just be warned that it is extremely shiny, and it will attract fingerprints like you wouldn't believe. So if you like all three of the metal bezel versions, then I'd say choose wisely between which of the three that you want. Or if you have the money, buy all three, and then you can pick and choose between them. So the one last thing that I wanted to check when comparing to, say, another model is the actual size. because side by side they kind of seem to be the same size, but let's measure up and see if they are actually the same. So the width, we'll zoom out a bit here because we're a little bit close. There we go. So the total width comes in at 49.8, lug to lug at 54, and the overall thickness at about 17. So 50 mils wide on here. Double check that. 50 mils. 50 mils wide. Quick lug to lug. 53. And about 16. So the metal bezel versions are ever so slightly thicker, I think. But that aside, they're actually pretty much the same size as a 6900. So in terms of comfort and fit, they're going to feel pretty much the same, just that little bit extra weight. So it's a great little watch. There's not really much more to say about it because the 6900 is a very popular watch, very well known, and this is another watch that that 6900 collectors can add to their collection, along with the stainless steel version and the black and red IP version as well. So it's been a great watch, and those is just a quick video showing my thoughts on this particular model. Check out some of the other videos that I have on some other G-Shocks, and hopefully I'll have some other videos up of some of the other G-Shocks that I got in my collection. So until then, take care and have fun.